Yeah.
So if that's the case and you're blasting very close to that well, how is it that you can conclude that that blasting is not likely to affect the fractures with the contamination in it?
Based on the anticipated influence of the blasting that the blasting expert testified to, that was the basis of it.
Do you have any direct experience in monitoring situations like this where there are such unique faults? And tell me if you disagree that the Western border fault is not a very unique fault, and blasting combined, to be able to say with experience that that a problem has not happened in a similar case that you have experience with.
I have no, I have experience in blasting and monitoring things with noise, but I won't say that I have with the border fault. Um,
Have
and
you
the,
had have you had experience in conducting pump tests in bedrock aquifers where you're pumping a well and wells nearby are not affected, but a well very, very far away from those nearby wells is directly affected by
yes,
pipe flow to wetlands?
yes,
And in that circumstance, you don't think is pertinent to bringing to bear on this project to recommend significant precautions be taken to avoid the potential for a problem due to that sort of situation?
I guess I don't. There's two different thoughts there. I'm saying that there's a low probability something happening, and and I believe there are precautions that are that the applicant has laid out to address that.
But you don't believe that the additional precautions that Alta recommended are worth implementing?
I'm not. Some of them are going to be implemented. I don't. I'm not familiar enough with that document or what the applicant has agreed to. So I know some of them are being implemented.
It
Well,
seems to me,
still,
excuse me, please. It seems to me that we're basically moving into a debate here, disguised as questioning. Information to the commission based on that. But again, Mr. Glass, you're going to have your opportunity to present your take on the information and WSP's findings. So I think we need to narrow this back down again to
okay.
just going back to that information.
Yep. Regarding the file room, Ken, were
Yeah.
you the one? The attorney had mentioned that you were the one that went to the file room. My understanding from your memo was that it actually was not you, but somebody else from your firm. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then a question for the chairman. Chairman, are my questions limited only to file room information or to other things like the well survey information that was supposed to be provided by now, but was not?
Again, I guess my what I would say is, we pretty much limited where we're at there to the file room information. And again, when in your summation, at the end of this process, you can point out that the information that was not provided.
Okay.
And the reasoning why that's.
All right, I'll stick to the file room. Ken, you had mentioned that only approximately a third of the file room files were reviewed. Why do you think? Well, my one question is: do you have, when you found that out, did you make other appointments so that you can review the rest of the file?
And I'm calling us back to the testimony of the blasting expert and in the limited extent of the impacts of blasting. Unless there's something right there, there's a very low probability of there being any migration from the SWIFT site to as a result of the blasting.
Okay, you say you're not sure that the solvent contamination in the restaurant well is from the Swift site. That's
Mr. Chairman,
sources.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to interrupt, but Mr. Glass is testifying, he's argumentative, and we don't want to be here all night. He will have his chance to testify. Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay, I don't think I have any other. Oh, I do have another question regarding what you found
Sure.
in the files. Did you see reference to Weston's conclusion that the bedrock flows in all directions away from the Swift site before you wrote your memo?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it for my questions on the WSP review of the file.
Okay, anyone else from the interviewer that would ask questions for Mr. Taylor? Not hearing any. I do have a question. I guess I do want to clarify with respect to the file room. So I'm kind of confused. So were all of the files with respect to the Swift site available to you, or only the ones you had specifically requested, and you really have no idea what's in, or no opportunity even to know what's in some of the other files?
No, the Swift site files were provided to us.
Okay.
What I was referring to was adjacent properties and things like that.
Okay, thank you. That clears that up. And did you sort of do a cursory look at what was in the Swift files to decide where you were going to start and what you were going to look at, or was it just kind of dig in? How did you?
Well, we
go back over, yeah.
Well, they, they wheeled out these carts, and there were some file cabinets. So the idea was to dig in. Once it got, later in the day, it was kind of okay. Let's flick through some of these other boxes. But that information wasn't thoroughly reviewed or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan,
Yes,
hi, Bill Wazigan.
yes, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, hi, Ken.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
Good. I was just wondering, do you know if Andrew Nagy is a geologist or hydrogeologist?
Andrew Nagy?
Yeah, the blaster.
He's not.
Okay.
Not that I don't. Let me rephrase. I don't know what his
And so
education is.
All right. So I tell you, you relied on WSP relied on his, blasting knowledge that that the blasting would have no effect. Did you at all confer with him, or did you meet with him, or did you go over the blasting plan to any degree to let him make the final decision on whether there would be any problems from the blasting or not?
I did. I talked to him. And we had some discussions, and I questioned him about relative to things like how far out we would expect fracturing to be based on his experience. I talked to him about how the vibrations work based on his experience, i.e., being that the vibrations try to find the quickest way out, and it's a cone and upward rather than going downward. So I just, those are the type discussions I had with Andy.
And was any of that information put into the record? I don't recall seeing. I went through the list of exhibitions, twice, and I didn't see anything to that effect. But wouldn't that be important for the planning commission to have that information as they assess and evaluate whether or not there is going to be any impact to the neighboring property?
He did testify to that. So it should be on the record.
And we're getting off track here again. We're supposed to be, we're getting on, this is not the time to be, you know, it was fine, you know, Mr. Taylor mentioned, you know, his reliance on, so some of these questions are germane, but I think we're getting off track here again on this. So let's just get back to the DEP file room.
Thank you.
Anything
That's
else?
it, John.
Okay. Commissioner Vogel, I see your hands up.
Yes, thank you. My question related to the possibility of going back to the file room and the fact.
And I think we should move on.
Okay, thank you. So then with that, we will move on to the interveners, you know, brief summary and interveners response with respect to